I used to know a very, very fine Australian writer, long dead now, called Alan Marshall. And his most popular book was called I Can Jump Puddles, because he was crippled from when he was young with polio, and he walked with crutches. So to be able to jump puddles on crutches was a very wonderful achievement for him. And he used to take kids out on camping trips into the outback, you know, and he'd drive his Case station wagon there, and he told me once, he said they were all in their little tents, and he said one night he heard this very strange, it's like almost otherworldly sort of noise. So he crawled, because he had to crawl, to the front of his tent. He lifted back the flap. He said, and there was a little girl dancing around and around in the moonlight. But she could never have done. But he appreciated what she was doing. He loved, he revered what she was doing as no, quote, normal person would ever have done. That was grace. Her movements were grace. And he, most of all, knew it. You see? So I watch all these people walk, and I say, there's no grace in their movements. We have a friend here who's very keen on skateboarding. And I watch them at Bondi in these big skate, whatever you call them, places they do this skateboarding. And I saw one person who had grace. It was so little effort in what he was doing. It was all flowing. It was like music. It was graceful. And all the others, right? No grace. I think back to some of the cricketers I saw when I was young. Keith Miller, most of all. Every movement he made on the cricket field, batting, bowling, was all graceful. It's just this other quality. It comes from deeper within. There's a sense of surrender to this movement impulse coming up, as it were, from the muse. It's different. I can still see Keith Miller running into bowl. I can still see him batting. There was beauty, the beauty of grace in what he did. You look at a really great tennis player. There's grace. There's grace. I think back to Rod Laver. I think back to when I first saw Ken Rosewall, when he was playing, I think it was the under-13 New South Wales Championships. He had grace. Lou Hode didn't. And I think that may be one of the reasons why Lou Hode had to stop, because of a bad back. One of the ways to introduce grace into movement is to put music into it. Music is made for movement. You can't sing out, "Oh mio bambino caro." You've got to move. You have to move. Music needs movement, and movement needs music. They're essential concomitants. Essential concomitants. They go together, and they, as it were, must go together. When I'm walking around the hills here, except when people get up close, I'm always singing. If not outside, then always inside. And I know when I stop, my movements change. They become more mechanical, and they lose another quality, which I don't have much of, but I have more than what seems to be the others. But every time I go to Bondi Esplanade or Central Park and so forth, I don't hear them singing. And I look at them and I say, they're not singing inside. And if they've got a digital iPod with junk playing in their heads, even less. But always think of music and movement, that they go together. And when you see that, it's so beautiful.